Yo, this is a tips and tricks guide that operates under the understanding that you have a basic idea of how these gods work. There are some basic things, there are some more advanced things, but I'm just here to give information. If you like it, enjoy it, sub, join the Discord, comment, share it, all the YouTube BS. Other than that, though, thanks for hanging out. This is how you want to clear wave as Achilles. Some people seem to forget that Achilles' dash is an 8-way dash. If you look at it here, the way Rama can dash is the same way Achilles can dash. So I can dash diagonally. I can dash forward, obviously. But keep that in mind when you're juking enemy attacks or whatever, or you're trying to get to somebody who's maybe over this way. You can keep walking in that straight line, not change your direction, and dash that way. You also, your camera ends up wherever you're looking when you dash. So, if I were to dash to the left and look to the right, your camera's not locked. And you will appear in that, or you will look in that direction when you are finished with the dash. Your character will. So if you're dashing towards a Medusa who's ulting you, you can quickly do this, turn around, and then turn back and hit her. After hitting an enemy with an Achilles 3, your next Achilles 3 is that second dash. That second dash does not have the property to reset when you hit an enemy. Right here, you see you can use combat dodge again. Using it again, it then goes on cooldown. So don't forget to use your 3 after hitting an enemy, even if it's at the air, just to reset the cooldown, so you can get that second dash the next time you go on them. Achilles stun has more range than you think. An enemy needs to be primarily in this cone with most of their body for them to get stunned. Like right here, you can see they're kind of in the cone, but not going to stun. But if he's right here, that will stun. Just to show again, right here, no stun. In this way, there is one. So, remember that. Achilles' late game combo, I guess, looks like this. And that's his late game combo. With Alma, while your 2 is procced, you can dash through the wave and stack it. You can see. You also want to hit the same lane minion to get her passive. You will then do more damage to anything that's in here. Alma dash is not locked in the direction you look when you first hit it. It has a bit of a charge up time, and then you can turn and move with the dash. You can also keep walking while dashing. You don't have to stop your movement to do it. This little charge time allows you to change the direction of your dash if you need to. With her ultimate, you need to hit 3 enemies. It doesn't matter if it's the same target. You will get the benefit of each slash with the enemies that are hit. Also, when you're leaving spawn, make sure you're in movement speed stance. For Bellona, there really isn't much. You can't use relics other than beads while in this animation, while in your 2. You see, I'm spamming Q for my thorns, and it doesn't let me use them. But I can beads. I cannot thorns while in the animation. A lot of people forget this about Chaac too. It is a dash. Everybody you dash through takes damage from it. You can also play some mind games. Let's just say this guy's chasing me, he's chasing me, and I'm running away. Wait for the timer to run out, and if they're not covering the option, I'm out. Like the Guan Yu's on me, he's not covering the option, I'm out of there. You can also actively make the decision to just walk away. They think you're going to teleport, they think you're playing the games with them, right? You can just walk away. And sometimes that also works. If you're being chased by 2 people and they're covering the option, you have to decide whether or not which is best for me to deal with? Is their support chasing me? Who's chasing me? Is it their jungler and their support? Let's say their support's covering the option. The support's easier for me to get away from. Make that decision. But sometimes you can just walk away. You can play mind games with a relatively simple character. And sometimes it works. Your 3 is an instant auto attack cancel. You also can't use relics other than beads while in the 2. You can hear. Can't really hear it, but I am spamming Q. For Cucullin, there's a couple of things. First, like most jumps in this game, it has an AoE behind it that hits. For Cucullin, this area is massive. So, I still hit this guy even though I'm, like, right up here. Now, while transforming, you can cast right before you're about to transform. As you can see there. You could back while de-transforming, but not while transforming. While de-transforming, you're able to back and get the back done. But while transforming, your back is stopped. Cucullin Dash is one of the most inconsistent abilities in the game. I'm gonna show a clip. If you watch my 10k hours of Smite video, you've seen it before, but yeah. What? Game sucks. Do yourself a favor. 90% of the time you're playing this character, you're buying Blink because he needs it. His engage is incredible with this gigantic AoE knockup. It allows him to get in without jumping. It's very good. Buy Blink on Cucullin. This is how you level Cucullin. You notice I don't pick up my 2 till level 14. That's because in the early and mid-game, transforming as often as possible most of the time is beneficial to you. In the laning phase, you are able to exert so much pressure because of your Berserk form. And in the mid-game, you might want to pick it up between 12 and 14 is when you can pick up Vent Anger. But this is how I do it. This is how most people do it. The good Cucullins do it. So this is how you should be leveling him. Erlang Shen 1 shouldn't reset his auto attack chain. Sometimes it does, though. And it's weird. But it shouldn't. This only happens sometimes, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to recreate it, but sometimes if you cancel your 3 too early, you don't get the effect. They may have fixed this, but it happens sometimes. You can see here I'm trying to mink, and it's giving me the effect, thankfully. So hopefully they fix this, but there's a bit of inconsistency. It might be more client-side when you're in an actual game, because jungle practice is a separate thing. So I might not be able to recreate it, but it can happen, so be wary. When casting his ultimate, Erlang Shen has to do this little spin you're gonna see. If that spin is cancelled, the ultimate will not come out. That spin has to happen. For it to work. It can be interrupted during that spin and it won't come out. It won't take the CD, but it won't come out either. With Gilgamesh, his 1 resets his auto attack chain. This is in the ability description, so I wouldn't call it an advanced tip or trick, but it's something people constantly forget. Gilgamesh. If your allies run towards this beacon, they gain the movement speed. This includes you. As you can see. They just need to be running towards the beacon. They get the other effects when they're in it, but you still gain the movement speed. Something to keep in mind with Gilgamesh ult is that they need to be actively trying to run out of it for you to get the CC. These guys are standing still. They're not going to get any effect from it unless I kick them. They have to actively be trying to run out of it for me to get any of the CC with it other than the ending route. And the slow, I guess, is still there, but you get my point. The knock-up, the big thing, the knock-back, won't happen unless it's actively trying to flee the ring. Like, that guy is considered trying to leave the ring, so I can knock him back. This guy wasn't. Guan Yu's 1 is an instant auto attack cancel. Basic attack cancel, whatever you want to call it. Same thing with his 3 if you instantly cancel it. His 1 and 2 reduce your cooldowns. 2 by hitting enemy gods, 1 by hitting allied gods. This does not work on minions. Your 1 also reduces your allies' cooldowns by 2 seconds, but it says that in the ability description. They gave this character too much. Anyway, the horse moves like you do. You slow down while backpedaling. While you can move backwards, the horse can't. But the horse slows down. You can also cancel the horse at any point while on it. Whether it be at the start, at the end, in the middle, at a random time in between, it doesn't matter. You can always cancel the horse. Hercules, you can do something cool. If you're a fan of the BMT boys, Brutal Maglini time, I'm going to link them below. You've definitely seen them do this before. How usable this is in an actual game, that's up to you. Can you hit in an actual game? You most certainly can, and I have before. But it is difficult. But it's really cool when you do it. I will say, the Hercules 2, the little blink thing that I just did, this applies regardless of if you blink. Let's say I get air resulted to the free fight area over there. If Odin is standing right here, he will fly all the way over to me. There's actually a clip, a funny clip in a very old video, but it still does apply. I'm gonna link it down below as well, and I might cut the clip, but still. It is hilarious.
Paulo, did you swallow a magnet? No. Oh, you know, that's weird, because I could swear you were attracted to my abs of steel. How did you even... I guess I'm so strong I broke physics.
For Horus, there really isn't much intricacy. He's a relatively basic character. He does what he says he does. However, you can do some funny things with his ultimate. Again, I mentioned the BMT boys before. They've done some very funny things with his ultimate. Definitely check them out. I will link a video below about the funny things you can do with his ultimate, but those are more comical as opposed to actually applicable.
Let's start fishing.
Robo isn't here anymore.
Going down in 3, 2, 1. Yes! Yes, you got it! Yes, you got it! Oh, there it is!
Some people will tell you to walk out of base with King Arthur abilities, use them to move quicker. That, with the home guard effect, if you don't know what home guard is, the movement speed you get out of spawn is no longer faster. I'm showing you a demonstration between the two of them. I am doing the King Arthur ability cancel auto attack movement in one of them, and the other I'm doing just walking, and just walking gets you just a bit further. You can wait until that movement speed runs out to use the abilities. The wards mark the spots in comparison. But when you're rotating to a team fight, let's just say, you're going out of lane, using your abilities to cancel with your auto attack movement is ideal, because you don't get the bonus movement speed from leaving spawn when you're coming from lane. Obviously. It might be a little difficult at first because you see he slows down at the end of the swing. Try to get it in timing so you get the maximum distance. You'll get used to it. You just have to practice it. Mulan has next to nothing in terms of advanced tips and tricks. A lot of the stuff you learn with the character. You can cancel her ultimate early. If you hit somebody, you're not locked in that place forever. And you can hit different targets with her too, but you only heal off of the first 3 hit. Same with Nike. The same thing that applies to Chaac 2 or Bellona 2 applies to her 1 and her 2. You can't use relics while in them, except for beads. That's it, though. Unlike in my last video where I said Odin really has one, I was wrong. Let me show you. With Odin, at a certain point in the game, if you're not interacting with an enemy or whatever and you need to back, you could just set up like this, clear the wave, while backing. As long as you're not hit by anything, you won't be interrupted. And the other thing, Odin's ult is an instant basic attack cancel. How useful this is varies on situations, but Odin's 3 has a lock-on effect, as you know if you've read the ability. But this lock-on effect only hits targets that are in range. Like, if they move, I'm still able to hit them because I locked onto them, right? He's in range. He walked into range, it locked onto them. This is more consistent with Poke, with things like Warrior's Axe or even Bluestone. You can just throw this out at them, guarantee the hit. But that's it. As you're leaving base with Osiris, in any game, throw an ability out. You don't have to throw all of them out. 1 or 2 is fine. But get your passive stacking. It's just beneficial. You'll see people do it around in the beginning of the game. They usually throw their 2 out 3 to 4 times, depending on person to person, but throw them out. Get your passive stacked a bit. Osiris 3 is an instant auto cancel. Why do you want to do that? Because these autos take longer. His one also is an instant auto cancel. So you could do that, and that's a ton of damage, especially in a lane. Osiris 2 is set in the location you throw it. There are some abilities you can flick, like Osiris 1. This, however, no matter what I do, it will land in the location that I place it in. The Osiris 2 will always land where you click to put it. So I can flick it towards the Odins, but it will go where I placed it. The same goes for Osiris ult. It will always go where you select. Even if I turn in the directions that I'm looking, right? Though, where you face does determine how you land. So if your opponent is running away and you're trying to land in front of them, turn like this and start hitting them like this. Granted, you can't body block them until you lose your passive, because Osiris ult does give your passive. Your ghost passive. But, useful to know. This goes for most jumps. Where you look is where, or where you look in the direction when you're landing is where you face when you land. Shiva is a bit strange for a warrior, but he's interesting. So he has 2 separate stances. Currently, I'm in Bliss stance. Bliss stance benefits allies, but you stack up the stances when you hit enemies or allies. When switching between stances, you reduce your cooldowns by 2 seconds that aren't your ultimate. But keep that in mind when you're fighting somebody and you're about to switch stances. Your damage, no matter what it is, will stack up your passive. Shiva 2 knocks up depending on where you're looking. Think of it like 72 transformations on Wukong, but a bit more clunky. Where I'm looking is where it knocks up. It still does damage, but obviously. During his dash, you can cancel it at any point. So if you wanted to, let's just say, do the damage like this, you can dash and then immediately cancel into something else. You also just cancel out of the dash. Same goes for your ultimate. Granted, that's not as useful, but it's funny. So Wukong really doesn't have anything other than his instant cancels with his animals. You can instantly auto-attack cancel with Ox and Bird. Tiger's a bit more difficult because it has the CC on it that you probably don't want to instantly cancel to get it. You probably want to set up with the CC. But you can do that. Undefeated Body, his passive, is also incredibly powerful, especially in the early game. Don't be afraid to abuse it. Gives you quite a lot. With Surtur, in the early and mid games, while you're laning, you want to try to stack your one as often as possible. This ability stacks when the minion, bastion, god, target dies while the burning effect is on them. That's how it works. I don't think it works with towers, but I haven't really tried it because his one is an auto attack cancel, but you have to do that animation with it. That little side standing animation. You see what I'm talking about. No matter if I'm doing anything else. His 3, however, instant. With his 2, one of your little gremlins does not have priority over a minion. It only does it if you're looking at the gremlin. The little creature here. Does not have priority over the minion. Whatever minion is closest to you is the one you pick up. So with tier, some people may already know this, some people may not. Again, I said this is advanced, but let's just make sure. Fearless Power Cleave combo. Power Cleave knocks up off of any other knockup. It doesn't have to be tiers, but Assault Stance Power Cleave knocks up off of any other knockup. Hebo knockup, a Wheelix knockup, any knockup you can think of. It will knock up and push them forward. Now, if you Power Cleave too early, you'll cancel the dash. So be careful on that. You also don't want to instantly do it. You want to give it a little bit of time so that they stay in the air a bit longer. But don't give it too much time, because then it won't work. Also, if you're ulting in, most of the time it's pretty beneficial to be in guard stance now, because it stuns. You're not locked in the direction that you are fearlessing to knock them back. You can knock them in any direction. Whether it be away from you, let's say you're running away, or towards your team. If you're pushing them this way, then back towards your team. You can also cancel this stance fearless with Power Cleave. And again, this knockup on Power Cleave goes for any knockup. Keep those in mind. 3 is also an instant basic attack cancel. Vamana knockup can hit twice. It's a little weird, and needs kind of extenuating circumstances, but it can hit twice. I was unable to replicate this in jungle practice, but in an actual game, I was able to do it. So Vamana ult is a bit interesting. While in it, you can use relics that affect yourself, but not anybody else. To show you again, I am spamming my Q key, but Horrific will not go off until I am out of it. Completely. Granted, you can cancel Vamana ult at any point, but Horrific will not go out, or any active that affects other people will not go out.